Welcome to the show. It's your girl Sarah right here on Relax Radio. Super excited to be here on this beautiful Monday morning, all right? Because, we're going to have a lot of incredible conversation. We're going to be sharing a lot of amazing news as well. So make sure you stay tuned. However, before I get into the conversation, I want to very quickly remind you that you can, in fact, be a part of the show, all right? So if you want to be a part of the show, if you want to, share your thoughts, share your opinions with us, well, the way for you to do that actually is to get in touch with us, all right? So the best way you can do that is to, text me or call me on 078 right? Which is a number that is available down below. So don't forget to do that because obviously I would love to hear the very latest from you. I would love to hear whatever it is that you're saying, whatever it is that you're feeling, all right? However, I want to very quickly get into our conversation. But before we get into our conversation, I want to very quickly remind you that you can, in fact, be a part of the show. All you need to do is just go follow us on our socials, right? All right, now if you go like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, you can always stay updated and always make sure that you're always informed about the very latest that happens, not just here in the United Kingdom, but in fact all over the entire world as well. So don't forget to do that because that will be absolutely amazing. Now, something else that you can do actually is to go download an app which is available for free on both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store as well. That way you can actually make sure that you're always informed and you're always updated about the very latest that happens, not just here in the United Kingdom, but in fact all over the entire world as well. All right, so don't forget to do that. Don't forget to download the app, follow us, and get in touch with us. All right, because right now we're going to be having a very important conversation, and this conversation is actually about how the National Health Service might actually be on the verge of collapse if we don't address the problems that it is currently facing because of the pandemic. All right. And the reason I want to have this conversation is because we know how much of an impact the pandemic has had on the National Health Service, right? Which means that they've actually had to change a lot of the things and make a lot of adjustments and changes, if I put it that way, to adjust to the pandemic. And a lot of this has been, freeing ICU beds or just freeing normal beds in general, or even postponing some surgeries so that they can make sure that there is enough space to accommodate all of those COVID 19 patients, right? Now, the NHS waiting list in England could actually rise up to 14 million by autumn next year, and it can actually keep on increasing following the changes that were caused by the pandemic. All right, and obviously, when I say the changes that were caused by the pandemic, you know how much the NHS had to change for how many changes that the NHS had to go through because of the pandemic. All right, and the reason I'm actually telling you that obviously is because it's important for us to keep that in mind so that we can understand what exactly is causing so much problems here in the United Kingdom for the NHS, right? So like I said, now the Institute of Fiscal Studies actually did this model. They created this model in an effort to show the potential scale of the waiting list that could challenge the National Health Service, right? And it had actually warned that if millions of people who didn't receive care during the pandemic return to the health service for medical attention, what that's going to mean is that the number joining the waiting list could actually outstrip the number being treated. All right, which means that there could be more people in the waiting list than there are actual patients in the hospital being treated. Right now, before I discuss this any further, I also want to very quickly bring the situation in Scotland, right? Where especially in terms of cancer treatment, in terms of cancer detection, there were a lot of patients who couldn't get themselves screened because of the pandemic, right? Because all of these screening places were shut down, but also because of the fact that in addition to that being shut down, they also had to accommodate other needs of COVID-19 patients, right? And we saw how the list, in fact, increased for all those people in Scotland. So imagine here in the UK how that could, in fact, change, right? Because we're talking about millions and millions of people, right? And the truth is, if we don't really address it, if we don't make allowances from the budget to address this problem and also make sure that we can get many nurses, many doctors, and many healthcare professionals as much as we possibly can, then we might actually have a chance of dealing with this problem. We might actually have a way of adapting to the way the situation to the way that the situation is right now. All right, so to get back into our conversation now, a total of 5.3 million people were actually awaiting treatment at the end of May this year, right? And this was just this year. And that actually marked the highest number since records began in August 2007, rather, because hospitals have been admitting more and more patients. However, the biggest number was obviously this year, when they realized, or when they looked at the list, and then they realized, look, oh my gosh, these lists are quite large because of the way that healthcare has actually sort of been postponed because they've had to make space for COVID-19 patients in England. Right now, NHS England's new chief executive, who happens to be Amanda Pritchard, has actually acknowledged that among the pressure the NHS focuses, or among the pressures that the NHS is facing right now, it is actually focusing on tackling the waiting times that have inevitably built up over the COVID pandemic. All right, because those waiting times are huge and those waiting lists are quite large, right? So that's important to keep in mind. However, right now we're going to head into a small break, and after that, we will be back to keep talking more about this. So until then, make sure you stay tuned.
And it gives them something to look at, and it makes them laugh. It makes them laugh. So that's why I do it.
Oh, and it could be a really good pickup line as well. Ladies who ask, "Hey, excuse me, so why are you wearing something so colorful?" I mean, hey, you can always have something up on your sleeve. I mean, got me thinking. You want to stand out. Why do you want to stand out though so much, especially with these kind of shirts when you're riding? There must be a purpose behind it, right?
Well, when you say a purpose, Nick, what I do, I wear the shirts mainly because they're nice and bright. So they make me visible, especially if I'm riding on the road.
Okay. That's very important, right? Because you want cars,
Very important. And also, like, people see me in, like, calves, and perhaps I shouldn't be saying this on here, I suppose, but in the bar afterwards.
All right.
And it gives them something to look at, and it makes them laugh. It makes them laugh. So that's why I do it.
Oh, and it could be a really good pickup line as well. Ladies who ask, "Hey, excuse me, so why are you wearing something so colorful?" I mean, hey, you can always have something up on your sleeve. I mean, you look like a guy who would do.
You know me too well. You know me too well, Nick.
Welcome back to the show. It's your girl Sarah right here on Relax Radio. Now I'm super excited to be here on this beautiful Monday morning because we're right after the weekend. All right, so let me know how your weekend went. Let me know what you thought about it, and let me know how it actually went, because I want to know how your weekend went. Because for me, even though I really wanted to rest during my weekend, that's not really how it went. Okay, so I guess sometimes you just have to accept the fact that things don't always work out the way you wanted to. But however, having said that, I still managed to get some sleep that I really, really needed. So I'm not complaining. All right. So let me know how your weekend went. Let me know how things turned out for you, because I would absolutely love to hear whatever it is that you have to say. All right. So don't forget to do that. Now, before we head back into our conversation, I want to very quickly remind you that you can, in fact, get in touch with us. All you need to do is just text me or call me on 078 share your thoughts with me, share your opinions with me, because I would absolutely love to hear whatever it is that you have to say. All right. So don't forget to do that. And also don't forget to go like us on Facebook and follow us on the rest of our socials, which is Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. That way you can actually make sure that you're always informed and you're always updated about the very latest. So don't forget to do that. All right. Now, you can also go download our app, which is available on both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. That way you can actually make sure that you're always informed, always updated, and you're always listening to the conversation from anywhere in the world at any time of the day. So don't forget to do that. Don't forget to share your thoughts and your opinions with me, because I would love to hear whatever it is that you have to say. However, let's get back into our conversation, because we're talking about how our health service is actually on the verge of collapse because of the huge burden that the pandemic has placed on healthcare professionals, and how that's affecting patients, how that's affecting other people with different conditions as well, right? So that's what we're going to be talking about, or that's what we are currently talking about right now. The IFS has actually warned that this 14 million could actually be much greater, or it could be much much higher if we don't really address the problem right now. All right, now something else that the IFS has also said is that the number, they basically said that they basically said that by the end of this year it could actually, or rather Sajid Javid actually said that the NHS could actually have much greater waiting list, because right here in England the waiting list could actually rocket to 13 million. And we all know how Amanda Pritchard also said that they're trying to focus on tackling the waiting times that have been built up because of because of the COVID-19 pandemic. The IFS has actually warned that the number could actually top this figure if most of the approximately 7 million so-called missing patients actually return to the health service for care over the next 12 months. All right, so in the next year, if all of these 7 million missing patients actually come back, what is going to happen is that our healthcare service is in fact going to topple, because in addition to all of this, they will also have to deal with all of these other patients who missed out on their treatment, missed out on their surgeries because of the coronavirus pandemic. All right, now in the very first scenario that they actually portrayed, or the very first scenario that they were modeling, they said that 80% of that approximately 7 million missing patients return over the next year. And the NHS, even if they return, and the NHS still operates at 90% of its 2019 capacity this year and in the next, and then at 100% capacity from 2023, it explained that even then it would be very, very difficult for the NHS to actually deal with these huge waiting lists that are in fact a huge problem in the United Kingdom right now. All right, so obviously it is in fact very scary, it is in fact very dangerous as well, and it's honestly, if we don't try to tackle this right now, it can lead to much bigger problems, right? Because the greater the waiting list, the more time it's going to take for newer patients to be diagnosed, for newer patients to get the surgeries that they need, and that will eventually result in their death, right? Which is obviously not something that you want to face, it's not something that you want to be told either. So even in its most optimistic scenario, the number of people that are waiting for treatment would actually rise to over 9 million in 2022 and only return to pre-pandemic levels in 2025. So obviously that is a lot of change that needs to be made. However, right now we're going to head into a small break, and after that we will be back to keep talking more about this. So obviously until then, make sure that you stay tuned.
The valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday, and what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. What am I saving or investing for? Why am I doing it? When will I need the money? And how much money do I need? Yeah. So that's quite important, because